In this episode of VTTP, we'll cover a concept I've dubbed as Universal ROE. ROE stands for Rules of Engagement, and the intent of this universal method is to give a set of guidelines that are always in effect unless stated otherwise. While much of this is common sense, it's a good thing to put in a concrete form so that there's no confusion on anyone's part when a threat presents itself as a danger to friendlies. The need for a universal ROE comes primarily from more junior members of an organization. A salty veteran's not going to hesitate to employ deadly force in the protection of himself or his teammates, whereas a greener player might not be so sure of his tactical options. Being familiar with a universal ROE will help all players be on the same tactical page and be able to make quick decisions when time's of the essence. The core question we want to answer with these rules is, when do I shoot first, or when do I talk first? This question begins upon making contact with the enemy. Contact comes in two basic forms, soft or hard. A soft contact is when you have visual or audible indication of an enemy. A hard contact is when you come under fire from the enemy. So, soft, you're not being shot at, they don't see you. Hard, they see you, they don't like you, they're shooting. First off, in no uncertain terms, if you take hard contact, you are authorized to return fire, period. The only time this is not true is when mission-specific ROEs restrict you. This is uncommon, you will know when you're in that kind of special situation. So, if you're taking fire, you can return fire and begin a reaction to contact drill. If you're not taking fire, this is where it gets a bit more involved. To begin, we must be able to evaluate the enemy threat. There are three primary factors: the enemy's proximity, their awareness, and the danger they pose. Proximity can be a very fast evaluation. If you come around a corner and there's an enemy standing there, that's bad news bears. If you're walking through a tree line and someone to an enemy patrol on the other side, again, that's a pretty clear-cut situation. If the enemy's very far away, this probably lessens their threat. The closer they are, the higher the potential threat, generally speaking. Proximity is a significant factor, but it's not the only one. In those earlier examples, proximity alone doesn't give you justification to start wildly firing. You must consider the enemy's awareness of not just you, but other friendly forces. To illustrate the complexity of this, let's look at that tree line example again. As I step out of the woods, I see an enemy fire team directly in front of me. In this case, they're not looking at me, they're looking to the left. This is good for me, as it buys me time to think before I have to act. However, I'm not the only friendly in this battle. I'm moving as part of a squad, and on my left is the other fire team of our squad. They're going through the same tree line I just went through, except they're about 50 meters to my left. The enemy is unaware of me, but if that friendly fire team continues forward, they'll walk right in the enemy's view. The time that this takes could be seconds or it could be longer. If you only have a split second to make this sort of decision, act. Fire. If there's more time, call for the other fire team to halt, give a contact report, and engage accordingly. Take the course of action that, in your best judgment of the situation as you know it, is most likely to result in the fewest friendly casualties. So as you can see, awareness can be a complex topic. You act on the enemy's awareness of not just yourself, but your friends and comrades. Proximity and awareness are two major pieces of the puzzle, but there's one more to consider. The last factor is the danger that the enemy poses to friendly forces. This is actual danger, such as the case when an enemy is aware of friendlies and turning or maneuvering to engage them, or potential danger, such as when a powerful enemy weapon is unaware of friendlies yet is positioned to where it could do great damage if it became aware. Let's use that tree line example again. We walk out, enemy fire team's there, this time they're looking right at me, but they're unarmed. Humor me for the sake of illustration. Our proximity is high, their awareness is high, but their danger isn't. The only danger we'd have here would be if the enemy used their radios. So for the sake of illustration, let's say they don't have them. Obviously this is an unusual set of circumstances. You can reasonably expect all enemies to be armed and dangerous. The exception to this comes when dealing with situations where either the enemy is surrendering or you're attempting to take prisoners. Shooting a surrendering enemy during a stealth movement is a violation of common sense. In that sort of situation, you would definitely use your radio to discuss options with the next senior leader. Generally speaking, the danger factor is what causes you to make the decision between shooting first and talking first. An example of this. You see an RPG gunner 150 meters away, turning his RPG towards a friendly vehicle that doesn't see him. The RPG gunner isn't aware of you, however, he is aware of the friendly vehicle. He's extremely dangerous. Your actions done swiftly can be the difference between the vehicle's survival or destruction. In this sort of situation, you're justified in firing at the gunner before making a contact report. So, to condense this all down into an easily digested lesson, in short, if the enemy is a threat to you or a friendly unit, is positioned close enough to do reasonable damage if not acted upon immediately, and has the means to do that damage, you can engage them before your contact report is given. Your gunfire will act as the alert stage of a contact report. However, If the situation does not require instant action, you should make a contact report and allow your leadership to develop the situation. If the enemy is unaware, take advantage of that to put yourself and your teammates in the best possible situation before engaging. Ultimately, you are authorized to fire in the protection of friendly forces, to include yourself, under any circumstances unless explicitly restricted by mission-specific rules of engagement. Again, it is incredibly unlikely that your mission ROE will restrict you in such a fashion. That concludes this episode of Dslyecxi's Tactics, Techniques, and Procedures. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, take care.